Girlfriend caught with guy on vacation. Email. Hey, true story. My name is Abraham. First off, I want to say I appreciate what you're doing with your channel. I just found it a few months ago. Maybe putting this out there will help me get some closure. Or maybe it will just remind me how stupid I was. Either way, this is my story, and it's about how I caught my girlfriend cheating while she was supposed to be on a solo vacation. So buckle up, because this isn't short, and I want to tell it from the beginning. I met my ex-girlfriend, let's call her Lena, at a comic convention in Columbus back in 2021. I've been a comic and anime nerd for as long as I can remember. I grew up reading Spider-Man, Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, and all that. Conventions are my thing. I love the atmosphere, cosplay, panels, meeting artists, spending too much money on collectibles. It's one of the few places where I felt like I fit in. Anyway, I was standing in line for an autograph when I noticed her. She was dressed up as Tifa from Final Fantasy VII. At first, I didn't think much because at conventions you see amazing cosplays everywhere, but she smiled at me while we were waiting, and I swear it felt like my stomach dropped. She had this energy, bubbly, outgoing, laughing with people around her. I'm not going to lie, I was nervous, but we started talking, and surprisingly, we hit it off. She told me she was 21, going to school for graphic design, and that this was her second convention ever. We ended up hanging out for the rest of that day, going to panels, taking pictures, grabbing food from the food trucks outside. She even asked me for my Instagram, and that night we stayed up late messaging. Looking back now, maybe that first night should have been my first red flag. She was too eager. She was saying things like, I feel like I've known you forever, and you're different from other guys I've met. Don't get me wrong, it felt good to hear that, but I had only just met her. I ignored my gut and thought, wow, maybe this is what people mean when they say they just click with someone. The early honeymoon phase. Over the next few weeks, we kept in touch constantly. She lived about an hour away from me, so we'd meet up on weekends. We'd binge watch anime together, hit up local gaming shops, even went on a few road trips. She was affectionate. She'd cook for me sometimes, and she always told me how lucky she was to have met me. But there were small things I brushed off. She would always keep her phone face down on the table. If I asked her who was texting her, she'd say just friends but never elaborate. She'd randomly disappear for hours and then come back with some vague excuse like, sorry, I was tired, I took a nap. The biggest thing though? She was obsessed with social media, always posting selfies, checking who liked her photos, making sure her stories looked perfect. She thrived off the attention. I noticed dudes constantly commenting hard eyes and, you're gorgeous. And she never shut it down. She'd tell me, it's just Instagram. It doesn't mean anything. And like an idiot, I believed her. The first real signs of trouble. About 6 months in, I started to feel uneasy. She started going out more with her girls, but I was never invited. When I asked why, she'd say, it's just a girls' night, you wouldn't want to come. Or she'd get defensive like I was being controlling. I didn't want to be that guy, so I backed off. But every time she came back from those nights, something felt off. She'd be extra affectionate, almost like she was overcompensating. One time I noticed she had a hickey on her collarbone. When I asked her about it, she laughed and said, oh, that's from when I burned myself with my curling iron. And again, like a fool, I let it slide. Deep down, I knew. I just didn't want to admit it to myself. The solo trip announcement. Fast forward to a little over a year into our relationship. She told me she was planning a trip to Florida by herself. Now, I'm not an insecure guy, but come on. What 24-year-old woman goes on a solo vacation to Florida out of nowhere? I asked her why she didn't want me to come, and she said it was for self-care and she needed time to clear her head. I knew it was fishy, but I didn't want to push too hard. I figured if I made a big deal out of it, she'd accuse me of not trusting her. So I told her to have fun and stay safe. But I had this gut feeling. You know when something doesn't sit right in your chest? That's exactly how I felt the entire week leading up to her trip. The call that changed everything. While she was down there, we FaceTimed a couple of times. She always seemed rushed, like she couldn't wait to get off the phone. Then one night, it all blew up. I called her, and she actually answered. She was in a hotel room, hair wet, like she had just gotten out of the shower. We were talking casually, and then I heard a door open behind her. Before I could even process it, I heard a male voice say, "Get off the phone with that loser." And just like that, click, the call ended. My heart dropped. I just sat there staring at my phone. She didn't call back for almost an hour. When she finally did, she acted like nothing happened. She said, "Oh my God, you're paranoid. That was just the TV. I was watching some YouTube videos and that's what you heard." She swore up and down that she was alone, but I knew what I heard. The final straw. I told her, "Okay, I'll call you back later." I wanted time to process. Not even 10 minutes later, I get another FaceTime call from her number. I answered, and it wasn't her on the screen. It was some random dude I had never seen before. He looked dead into the camera and said, "It's over, bro. I spent a lot of money on this trip. She mine now." Then he hung up. That was it. That was the moment I knew. There was no more denying it, no more giving her the benefit of the doubt. She was cheating, and she wasn't even hiding it anymore. How I felt. I can't even explain the mix of emotions I felt. Anger, humiliation, sadness. Mostly, I just felt dumb. How did I not see this coming? What kind of grown woman takes a solo trip like that? What kind of girlfriend FaceTimes her man from a hotel room while another dude is right there? The truth is, the red flags had been there all along. I just ignored them because I didn't want to lose her. I felt played, embarrassed, like a clown. And the worst part is, I wasn't even surprised deep down. I think I always knew. I just didn't want to admit it. Where I stand now, that was the end. I never spoke to her again after that night. I blocked her on everything. She tried texting me later, but I ignored it. I didn't need closure because the closure was right there in my face. And since then, I've sworn off relationships. I still mess around. I'm not going to lie. I'll hook up if the opportunity is there. But commit? Never again. I'm done. I know the people in your comment section are going to roast me for being stupid, for missing the obvious signs. And you know what? They're right. I deserve it. I was blinded by her looks and the attention she gave me, and I ignored my gut over and over. But I learned my lesson. And in my next email, I'll explain why I truly believe relationships are a trap for men, why I'll never get into another one, and why I think women can be a man's downfall if he isn't careful. For now, I'll just say this. I'd rather be single and keep my peace than ever put myself through something like that again. Thanks for reading my story, True Story. Hey, True Story, it's Abraham again. I told you in my first email that I'd write back with a follow-up, and here it is. This is the part where I explain why I'll never commit to a woman again. I said before that the experience of catching my ex-girlfriend on that so-called solo trip to Florida broke something in me, and I wasn't exaggerating. That whole mess didn't just hurt me. It reshaped the way I look at relationships, at women, and honestly, at life itself. This is going to be long. I don't know how to half tell things. And if I'm going to put my thoughts out there, I want to make sure I really explain myself. People in your comment section are probably going to flame me, say I'm bitter, say I'm generalizing, say I need therapy or whatever. Maybe they'll be right. Maybe I am bitter, but I'm not lying. Everything I'm about to say comes from what I lived through, what I observed, and what I concluded after piecing it together. So let me start from right after that night when some random dude answered her phone and told me, "She mine now." The weeks after the breakup, After I blocked her, I thought I'd feel better, like ripping off a band-aid, but instead, I felt hollow, empty. I didn't sleep much those first few nights. I'd lay there staring at the ceiling, replaying the entire relationship in my head like a broken movie reel. Every red flag, every weird moment, every excuse she fed me, I saw it all with new clarity. It was like I was reliving every single instance of her sketchy behavior, and now it all made sense. The curling iron burn that looked exactly like a hickey. The phone always face down. The girls' nights out where she never wanted me around. The constant validation she chased from strangers online. She had been showing me who she was all along, and I ignored it. That realization didn't just make me sad, it made me angry at myself. How could I have been so blind? How could I, a grown man, not put two and two together? And then I realized it's because I wanted to believe in the fantasy. I wanted to believe she was the exception. The fantasy versus reality. That's the thing about modern dating. True story. Women sell men a dream. And I don't just mean women like my ex, I mean in general. They come in with the smiles, the affection, the flirty energy, the "I've never felt this way before" lines. They sell you on being different. But then, the moment they get bored, the moment someone else offers them more excitement, they bounce. I started seeing the pattern not just in my own relationship, but in stories from other men. My situation wasn't unique. Guys all around the world go through the same thing, some even worse. And yet society tells us to man up, be supportive, and don't be insecure. Meanwhile, women get away with playing the field, keeping men as backup options, and gaslighting us when we start catching on. My ex told me that voice I heard was just the TV. Bro, come on. A grown man heard another man in the room calling him a loser, and she looked me dead in the face and told me it was YouTube videos. That's how bold the lies are. That's how confident she was that I'd doubt myself before doubting her. Why I'll never commit again. After that, I made a decision. I'm never putting myself in that position again. I'll sleep with women, sure. I'm a man. I have needs. But a relationship? Never. Marriage? Absolutely not. Here's why. Women have infinite options. In today's world, a woman doesn't even need to leave her couch to get attention. She posts a selfie, and within minutes, she's got 10 dudes calling her beautiful. She's got DMs full of guys ready to fly her out, pay her bills, or treat her right. Men simply don't have that luxury. If a guy posts a selfie, he's lucky if one friend throws him a thumbs up. My ex wasn't special. She was a decent-looking 6 or 7 on a good day, but she had a small army of men at her fingertips online. The second she wanted something better, she could grab it without even trying. That's why she had no problem cheating. Commitment doesn't benefit men. Let's be real. What does a man actually get from committing in today's world? Sex? We can get that casually. Companionship? You can get that from friends or family. Meanwhile, the risks of commitment are insane. If you marry, divorce laws are stacked against you. If you move in together, good luck keeping your assets safe. If you have kids, you could get hit with child support while she still gets custody. I realized that by committing, men put themselves in a position where they can lose everything. And for what? For love. Love is just chemicals in your brain that don't mean much when someone decides they're bored. Red flags are the norm, not the exception. After my experience, I started noticing how many women display the same patterns: obsession with social media, keeping guy friends, being vague about their past, disappearing for hours, and constantly seeking validation. We as men are told to ignore these things, to trust her. But these red flags are warnings for a reason. I ignored them with my ex, and look where that got me. Never again. Women as a man's downfall. I know some people are going to roll their eyes when I say this, but I stand by it. Women are often the downfall of men. Look at history. Look at literature. Look at the stories of powerful men. So many of them fell not because of enemies on the battlefield, but because of the women they trusted. Samson had Delilah. Julius Caesar had Cleopatra. Modern men have Instagram models and independent women who play games behind their backs. A man can work his whole life to build something, and the wrong woman can destroy it in a single move. It's not even just about cheating. It's about distraction. It's about wasted energy. It's about pouring your resources into someone who doesn't value them. Since leaving my ex behind, I've been more focused. I've been saving money, hitting the gym harder, investing in myself. And you know what? I feel better. I'm not stressed about where she is, who she's with, or whether she's lying. I have peace. Sex without attachment. Now, don't get me wrong, I still sleep with women. I'm not pretending to be some monk, but I keep it strictly physical. I don't play boyfriend. I don't promise them anything. I don't even let them spend the night most of the time. Does it get lonely sometimes? Sure. I'd be lying if I said it didn't. But you know what's lonelier? Laying next to a woman you think is yours, only to realize she's texting another man under the covers. I'll take my solitude over betrayal any day. People will call me bitter, and maybe I am. I can already hear the comments. Not all women are like that. You just picked the wrong one. You need to heal. But here's the thing. I don't care. I don't need to heal from anything because I'm not wounded anymore. I woke up. I saw the reality of modern relationships. I saw that commitment is a one-sided contract where men give and women take. I'm not interested in trying to find the right one anymore. The risk to reward ratio just isn't worth it. The truth about red flags, I ignored. Let me actually break down some of the specific red flags I ignored in my relationship, because maybe someone watching your channel will learn from my mistakes. Phone face down. If she always hides her phone, she's hiding something. Don't buy the "I just don't want distractions" excuse. Validation. Online. If she thrives on likes and DMs, she's already halfway gone. She feeds on attention like oxygen. Girls' nights. Without you, that's code for opportunities to entertain other men. Defensiveness. When questioned, if she bites your head off for asking a simple question, she's guilty of something. Sudden solo trips. Come on, man. Solo trips are rarely solo. If she wanted peace, she'd do it at home. Trips mean there's another man in the picture. Every single one of these happened in my situation. And instead of calling them what they were, I swallowed the lies. I wanted to believe, and it burned me. What I've learned, since all this, I've made a vow to myself. My life comes first. My goals come first. My money, my fitness, my peace, those are my priorities. If a woman comes along who wants to hang out casually, cool. But the second she starts hinting at commitment, I'm out. I'll never again let myself be put in a position where someone else holds that kind of power over me. And that's not fear, that's wisdom. Fear is being blind and repeating the same mistakes. Wisdom is learning from pain and not putting your hand back on the hot stove. Final thoughts. So that's where I'm at, true story. I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm not asking for advice. I'm just telling it how it is. I know some people will hate me for this. Some will agree. That's fine. I didn't write this to be liked. I wrote it because I promised I'd explain why I'll never commit again. To any man listening, don't ignore the red flags. Don't put yourself in a position where your whole identity depends on someone else's loyalty. Protect yourself. Me? I'm done with relationships. I'll live my life, enjoy what I can, but never again will I let a woman have the power to ruin me. Thanks for letting me share. True story. Abraham.